Hello YouTube artist, I'm Kelly Hernig and welcome to In the Studio. Before I get started on my stacks flip through, I wanted to remind you that I have an advent calendar. It's called the Artful Advent, and this is the finished project that every day in December we do one item. So you might just do the peppermint on day 1, the star on day 2, chocolate chip cookie on day 3, the gingerbread on day 4, and I wanted to remind you that there is a playlist on my channel called the Artful Advent. Everything is there. You can download the pattern and then just go through the days as you see fit. I wanted to make sure that you knew about this. This is from 2023. It's nothing new, but if you're new to my channel, like many of you are, thank you for that, by the way. I wanted to just remind you that this is on my site so that you can create this beautiful piece. I will put the playlist for it in the video description box. Otherwise, just go to my channel and look for it. And now I want to share my stacks project with you. So this is a little concertina sketchbook. It comes in a case. This I started on January 13th. And the idea behind this was that everything needed to be stacked. At least 3 things. So 1, 2, 3. I wanted 3 things so that during the week I could create this. And I looked at 1 stack per week. Let me make you a little bigger. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick flip through, and I've got the front side as well as the back side done. So this entire sketchbook is filled from one end to the other. So I'm going to share that first, and then I'm going to give you my 6 tips for working on something like this. This is the fun part of a concertina, is all the pages are connected. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of accordion style like this, so that it just keeps going and going and going. And for me, it's an unfolding of the story. That's what I really like about the concertina books. So I'm going to take you through it, and we'll just look at it with a little bit of music, and then I'll come back and talk about it. So this was the start. And this is the end of the book, so now I gotta flip it over. This ended with me doing 43 weeks. I started on January 13th and ended on, let's see, November 19th. So I put the date down here so that I would remember that. But that is 43 weeks in, and that is 129 things I painted. So remember, each stack was at least 3. And I really just love the way that it looks. Wasn't it fun seeing it all just unfolded and all together? And you saw that It had a cohesiveness. There was a nice flow of design. There are a couple of favorite things that I'm going to show you at the very end, the things that I learned the most in. But I wanted to talk to you now about the 6 things I learned from this project. It's small but mighty. You can see that this is my hand, so it's a little bigger than my hand. And I was thinking at first that that would be very beneficial because I was like, oh, I can just pull it out. It's something small and I can work pretty tight. I was thinking that things would take me anywhere from 5 minutes to 10 minutes per item. So actually, when I started doing the stack of 3, it was anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the complexity of the item itself. You can see like this item here was the tag, the squirrel, and the little leaf. So of course that's going to be a little more detailed than like this, the little pencil and the mushroom, right? So they're going to take a little bit more time. Even though the items were small, as I kept going, I felt like I was being a little more constrained because of the size. Like I wanted to go bigger and add more things, and I found the size really challenging. So you can see like this little penguin guy here is about as big as my thumb knuckle, right? So it was kind of small to be coming up with items to fill. I found it harder to design being this small, where I like having a little more space, I've found, and I feel a little more comfortable when you've got more space to design around, because this was so narrow that you had to like pack it in and kind of keep it kind of tight for the flow. So it's there, and I'm proud of the design that I did, but I would have preferred it being bigger. So I will not be working this small again because I just really found it too constraining. The second thing I did, you can see here in the colors, that I used my Art to Basic palette, and I did that for the whole book, both sides. And it's because I have a lot of paints. You can see I've got 2 palettes full of paints here. The reason I picked these paints was I have them, but I was rarely using them because they're in a handmade section. I don't always have them out on my desk, and I loved working with them because it made me go into products that I already bought, I already have, and I got to experience them in a different way. So playing with these colors was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that I really didn't have to think about what paints am I going to use. Instead, I just pulled out these 2 palettes, that little bitty book, a brush, and I was ready to go. And I like the ease of that a lot because I didn't have to go and hunt and gather. It was like a little pile on my desk, and I just pulled it out once a week and paint it. It was wonderful. I would highly suggest a palette specifically for a project like this. It made it really go quickly. Number 3 on my list, discoveries happened. And by that, I mean, I found new ways to layer. I discovered values and the importance of them and how I really like it. Like this is one of my favorite sections in this book, is really these 5 little elements right there. I just love the way that there's dark, there's light, there's intrigue. Every size is different. Every shape is different. And when I did this piece so early in my book, I was like, ooh, this is kind of a breakthrough. And I love that. I love when we are creating and it just naturally comes out because of us doing it, right? So many of us think we're going to paint, but then we never do. And it's really great when you do paint and then you find these little discoveries that make you like, yes, I just broke through something, because it keeps you going because you're like, what's next? And I love that. It was also enjoyable seeing the growth throughout the year, right? So as I went, everything was a little different. I have favorite parts, like this is another favorite part of mine because I love the idea of this big flat piece here and then all these little tiny pieces and interesting bark here. But again, I want you to notice the value. It's very dark here. This is kind of medium toned, but yet with the in and out of the leaves here, it creates a nice texture of light and dark, and I really like that. I also like that it's balanced on a marble, which is kind of fun. Here was another moment that I really liked where I just took some scallop paper and a little name card, but I liked the way the layering came about. It was something that made me feel like, wow, that looks really cool together. This was another piece where the star and the leaf intertwined. I just love that little area up there. And when you find little things like that, look, it's like every couple of weeks something new was happening, and I just felt like my head was exploding, and it was quite joyful actually. So I was really enjoying myself as I went along, because I'm always wondering what's next, and I think that that's a great thing. Setting aside 15 to 30 minutes a week to create was priceless, because no matter what was going on, I gave myself permission to do something for me. And it kept me sane. And I'm not even kidding there. So you don't really realize just how much joy and relaxation you get out of painting. At least for me, it's something that I can immerse myself in. So even for something like this, I was thinking about layers, and I was thinking about values and colors and what was next and how was I going to do this. And before you know it, I'm in my head and I'm using my imagination and I'm learning about creativity and how to put it down on the page and make something beautiful. Even though it's tiny, to me it's very much full of beauty. And I enjoy when I can find delight in the things that I'm creating. I just think it's a really wonderful thing. And we don't give ourselves credit for doing that. So I really want you to think about, how much time and effort does it really take to sit and paint like that and just lose yourself? For me, it is part of my sanity, and I'm not about to give that up, if that makes sense. Number 5 is about shortcuts. For that, I want to talk about making things easier on yourself. Each of these pieces that I've drawn here on my piece are things that I had. And I made myself little boxes. They're just a little cigarette box, like little thin tins. You can see how skinny they are. But everything that I drew from, so I went to my collections of things and just sorted a couple trays. I think I had 4 or 5 different little tins like this. But you can see, here is this little piece there. I've got the flower piece here. I've got just a little tag here. And this made it easy, just having these all ready to go. So it was a shortcut for inspiration as far as I'm concerned. And it worked great because I didn't have to go searching for something. I just looked through my boxes and pulled out what I wanted to do that day. It was that simple. Also, for doing that, if I didn't sit and just trace the item itself, sometimes I would draw them onto tracing paper first. And tracing paper is a great thing. You can see my little owl here, and he's here. He's over here. So drawing them on here on tracing paper first, I would highly recommend drawing on tracing paper instead of drawing on your book. Unless you are one of those people that can just draw and it's perfect. I can't do that. I erase a lot. And I'm always worrying about erasing on paper because I don't want to damage the texture. So I draw onto tracing paper. That way I can draw, redraw, erase as much as I want. And then I use handmade graphite. It's just a sheet of tracing paper that I rubbed a graphite stick on, and then I took a paper towel and kind of wiped it. And this is what I transfer it with. So I would find the place that I want my item. I would stick my paper down like this, and then I would stick the graphite side of my paper underneath, and then just take a plain pencil and trace the element out. Before you lift this, I would remove the graphite and then lift and make sure all of your lines show underneath. And that is exactly how I do this. So it's a shortcut that I absolutely love. Tracing paper is my friend so much. And what happens is, over time, you end up with a lot of these pieces of tracing paper with drawings on it. So now you can reuse them as you see fit. So say you're looking for something and you're like, when I did that owl, where do I have that? And then you can go find that tracing paper and reuse it, which I love because now you have a library of your own drawings, which I think is really important to have. Because sometimes you just want to paint. And when you go through a stack of drawings like this, I just keep it in a little folder, but there's hundreds of things in there that I can use now to use to inspire me, to get me creative, to just put together a little stack of something and just start painting. And number 6, this is the most important one, and I think it's one that we overlook as artists. I want you to think about, as you're painting, what kind of experience are you having? Are you enjoying the process or are you not? I knew I wanted to end with this little bunny guy holding the leaf because a leaf is who I am. I just got this brand new little palette. Look how cute this is. And I thought it would look really cute with that little rabbit standing on the palette with the little leaf. So I knew the ending, how I wanted it to look like. But I want to say, finding delight in putting paint to paper and enjoying the act of creativity can't be beat. The smile and joy in filling this little sketchbook was undeniable, and that is so important for our well-being. I lost myself every time I came into this sketchbook. I really did, because for those few moments, I was concentrating on this and nothing else. I let my mind just clear off, and I'm here to paint. Let's find some colors that make me happy at the moment, and let's just put them to paper. I think when a project lets you do that, and that's what most painting does for me, is it's an escape from reality, if even for the briefest of moments. And for that, I am so grateful to be an artist and live a creative life. So I hope that you enjoyed my 6 tips for creating this little stacks project. I hope it makes you reflect in different ways on why you create and the beauty of creation. I think we don't allow ourselves to take those minutes that we need during the day or during the week to just do something for ourselves, no matter how big or small. And I really want you to give yourself permission for that. We need that recharge too, because we constantly give until we're left with nothing. So just recharging your batteries this way is a huge accomplishment for yourself. If you were inspired by today's stack project, please leave me a comment. I would love to know your thoughts on it. If you haven't subscribed, please click the button and the bell so that you're notified whenever I have a new video out. And as always, thanks for watching.